So what's going on, guys? My name is Mr. Dalek JD, and in this video I'm going to be going to show you some quality of life tips for the Final Reich and World War II zombies to essentially improve the way you play the map and have a much more enjoyable experience in everything that you end up doing, be it defeating certain boss types, getting certain Tesla upgrades, essentially just trying to improve the quality of life in your game so you're going to play for longer, you're going to enjoy it, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some tips which you may or may not have already realized. The game's been out for about 2 weeks from the time you're making this upload, and that's enough time to learn some little tips and tricks that will definitely help you in your game. Now, if you have any of your own, definitely drop them down below in the comment section, but if there's anything which genuinely surprised you and something you thought was informative that will help you out, give the video a thumbs up, as I'd be very appreciative to see how many things you didn't know, and feel free to subscribe for the future, as we'll have a lot more videos like this to come. I'm jumping in with the first one, and this is with bomber zombies, and more specifically how to get the blood first Tesla gun upgrade done super easy, as it is the most frustrating upgrade to do, as you need to have 4 bomber zombies in the pack-a-punch room and for them to have died by the battery by the sword trap. It's one of the hardest things to do in the game in my opinion, and we're going to make it pretty easy. I didn't know this at the time in my Tesla guide, but the easiest way to do this is to open the salt mines once you've managed to have a whistling zombie or a hammer zombie to have meleeed the door inside of the pack-a-punch to reveal the battery, and you can place it in to the battery holder to start the process of the upgrade. Make sure you've done that and that's all out of the way, then open the salt mine doors and you're going to have 4 bomber zombies right there. Now what you want to do is you don't even need to have the bombers in there with the bombs on their backs. You simply want to shoot this sort of second head that they've got behind their first head, and that's going to make them drop the bomb. Now the easiest way to do this is to pop a camouflage, that way the zombies will not blow up at all and you can get right up in their faces to make sure you don't miss shooting their heads to drop the bombs. And from there you just take them over to this sword trap and boom, you'll have that battery done very quickly. This can also be a lifesaver later on in the rounds if you don't necessarily want a bomber to blow up in your face. You can simply just shoot the back of its second head and boom, it will drop the bomb and there'll be no explosions, you'll be all good. Sticking on the list of bosses, the next one we'll talk about is the hammer boy himself, the whistling, and a tip to take this guy down very quickly. Now if you do shoot him, of course he becomes enraged and starts to run towards you and will slam into anything that's nearby like a wall or something, but it's during this slamming animation where his back is to you is where he will be able to take the most damage, and it's actually shooting his back that will be the best way to kill these things very quickly. A lot of times you'll just be sort of worried that they're there and you want to get rid of them by just spraying into them, but trust me, shooting them from the back is the easiest way to make these guys drop even in the higher rounds. And when it gets to a point where you can't kill these guys because there's just so many of them and they're so annoying, just simply take them outside towards the pilot trap, turn it on, and these guys are going to drop straight away. It's the best trap in the entire map to use to take out hordes of zombies, and especially hordes of these guys. Now let's talk about the most difficult zombie boss to deal with in the Final Reich, which is the Brenner. This is the flamethrower that you get every time you're about to finish the Tesla gun upgrade, and then about every 5 rounds after that. This guy has a ton of health, but he does have a weak spot, which you probably haven't worked out. At first I thought it was the tanks on his back, because that's what's giving him the fuel for the flamethrower, but actually in fact it is his head that you're going to be picking up to use in the Easter egg later. It's his head that is his weak point. If you've not worked that out by now, then definitely go all guns blazing on his head, as he will drop the quickest in that area. The next tip I'm going to talk about is relating to perks, and you may or may not have known this, but this is actually a very cool little trick, as within World War II zombies you can only have 4 perks. You can get an extra one if you put that on as a class mod, but did you know that you can actually replace perks that you don't want? Now the best example for this is buying the melee perk very early on as like your first perk if you're going to be trying to go for the hardcore Easter egg and you want to make your sword a little bit stronger. So if you do this in this way, you have the perk, and what you can do is if you buy any perk after you've bought 4, all it will do is it will replace the first perk that you purchased. So this is really useful for getting rid of that perk in the later rounds if you buy it early on, and essentially makes it so you can replace any perk you don't want, which is awesome, because normally in Treyarch zombies, when you have your perks, you've got to go down in order to lose them, and then you've got to go and buy them all back again. But with World War II, you can simply just buy a new perk to replace it, or you can just bleed out until you've lost the perk that you want and then be revived. But this is a much more practical way. Now let's talk about one of the best things to get out of the mystery box that you should be going for every time you play, and that is Jack in the Boxes. Now there's two tips I'm going to give you, and the first one is actually down to the luck of getting them out of the box. Now you're probably thinking, that's ridiculous, the mystery box is purely random and there's no probability or guarantee amount of hits for you to get something out of the box. And you're right for any weapon, but the Jack in the Boxes aren't as random as you might think. So under the hood, there's a 5% chance, rounding up, that a Jack in the Box spawns from the box, and that increases by 15% every time a player pays into the mystery box. So once a Jack in the Box appears, and of course you should take them, that chance resets back down to 0. So in co-op, you can efficiently farm a Jack in the Box for at least one player by having multiple players pay into the mystery box in a row. There's a risk of resetting the box, but it's easy enough to find again, and it's well worth the effort. So if you've ever played a co-op game and one player's gotten the Jack in the Boxes very quickly, and you've had a lot of trouble getting them anytime after that, now you know there is actually some secret mystery math behind the probability of getting Jack in the Boxes. And whilst we're on the topic of Jack in the Boxes, there is a way for you to have not just 3, but to double them and get 6. Now the way in which you get double the amount of Jack in the Boxes is by putting on a mod in your class creation slot called Grenadier. And that essentially allows you to carry double the amount of lethal and tactical grenades. So normally you get 3 out of the mystery box, but once you get a max ammo, you're going to have 6. And that is so useful, as I'm pretty sure you'll never be in a situation where you won't have at least 1 to your arsenal before you get a max ammo. Honestly, a really, really good tip. And we've never had anything in zombies where we've had more than 3 of the monkey bombs, and now we have 6 potentially if you want to put that on, which is really cool. The last and final tip I'll give you today is using self-revive, but not actually ever using it. You're probably like, John, what the heck? And if you guys may or may not have already realized, inside the consumables and zombie supply drops, you may sometimes get self-revives, which are definitely an incredibly useful thing to have, and something which you really want to stock up for and use only in a dire situation rather than just using them anytime you go down, because they're very hard to get hold of right now, and you want to save them for when you're going for a really big game, perhaps like around 40 or around 50. But there is a way on both co-op and solo that if you go down, you can actually not use a self-revive and manage to revive yourself without using a quick revive perk. Now the way this works is you have to be, unfortunately, at the end of a round with only a few zombies left. Now the trick here is that the game will automatically revive anyone who's down currently the moment the round ends. This is for solo and also co-op. So technically, if you are down and you're bleeding out, as long as you somehow manage to end the round whilst you're down, you're going to revive yourself, be it even if you don't have quick revive or use a self-revive perk, and you'll still be able to use it at a time where you desperately really need to. It's something which I accidentally did when I was playing a game the other day, and I was like, hang on a moment, is it still really cool? But that's about going to wrap this tip video up. If you guys have any other tips which I didn't mention in this video that you want to share with everyone watching, do drop them down below in the comment section. I'd love to know if there's anything in here which you didn't know that you're going to now know going into the final Reich. That will definitely help you out. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. Definitely drop a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you didn't, then let me know why below. And also consider hitting that subscribe button if you enjoy zombies, because we do a lot of zombies over here and we try and upload zombies every single day. Loads of cool stuff always happening here on the channel, so consider subscribing if you haven't already, turn notifications on, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.